hope you guys are all okay and all good. Welcome to another video. My name is George. For those of you who don't know, feel free to subscribe down below if you're not already. And this is Jordan.
Hello.
Hello. We're back, sort of. So we've not actually recorded any sort of video together since we got home in November. It's now the 16th of February. So we've been home for...
Too long.
First of all, I wanted to thank everyone who watched the vlogs that we put up, or have been putting up since like the start of December. Response to them has been really lovely and really quite overwhelming.
Yeah. We took a bit of a punt, really, didn't we? It's
Yeah.
not something we've ever done before. It took us a while to get into the routine of doing it, but it was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was something that we wanted to do for ourselves more than anything else.
And
like,
for our family as well.
Yeah,
Because neither of us live near home, so it's good to share what we did on holiday on video with them.
So it was a really nice, for me, because I've been the one that's editing them, it's been a nice thing for me to look back on even like a month, 2 months after the fact. So it'll be a lovely thing for us to look back on when we start planning our next trip. What have you got?
Sorry, you were saying?
Oh my god, what was it? The day we got back. What was it? The day after we got back.
Yeah.
The day after we got back, we went into town, went into Virgin Holidays and picked up a brochure.
Whilst wearing... Well, I was wearing my Spirit jersey.
And
funny.
And they even asked...
When's the last time you went? And we said yesterday.
We got back yesterday. Oh.
Anyway, the brochure's here, so...
Yeah, so we're ready.
Watch this space.
We're ready to go. So... What we wanted to do was record. We've got some footage that we are putting in about the Keys to the Kingdom tour, which will already be in that vlog because we're still filming this ahead of the fact. This won't be going up until like April. But we wanted to record a full wrap-up video because a lot of things happened on the trip, and obviously it was all like... It was 18 days, but it was all happening so quickly that we didn't really get to sit down and talk about each individual component and what we thought about it, and that's kind of a fun thing to share at this stage.
Yeah, and a lot of this holiday was new for us compared to last time because obviously we stayed, as we mentioned before, we stayed off site at the cheapest hotel we could get with breakfast. We didn't have the premium flight.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Carry on.
So we stayed, we didn't have the premium flight, we didn't do Very Merry, we didn't do the Keys to the Kingdom, we didn't have the dining plan, so a lot of this was new for us, and yeah, it'll be good to see what each other thought of it, really, and if our views differed.
Yes. Actually, one of the things that I missed the most, before we go into the whole thing, we've just mentioned the dining plan, and that's probably something that I miss the most now that, like, since we've been home, like, having to, like...
Cook?
Make my own food. Like, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah, but we've also had a better stone in extra weight to try and lose.
Yes, that's true. So, you know, probably a good thing. Calorie controlled meals. Okay, so we're going to start at the very beginning, which I've heard is a very good place to start. I'm reliably informed.
Rumour has it.
Rumour has it.
Rumour has it. Anyway.
Well, that's Adele, not Julie Andrews, but that's fine too. We will start with our thoughts on the Gatwick Hotel, which was the Hampton by Hilton.
Hampton by Hilton at Gatwick North.
Gatwick North.
Yeah.
See, I still don't know what it was called. So yeah, let's start with that.
There's not a lot to say on this one. We did. This is probably one of the few things which was the same as last time we went, in the sense that we stayed at the exact same hotel. It is fit for purpose. Yeah. I mean, you've seen the footage of it. It's a room. We happen to be upgraded in inverted commas to a corner room, which has that sort of extra space, but even the standard room is fine for two people.
Yeah.
It's a room, it's a bed, it's a shower, and there's good breakfast, more importantly.
It is a very good breakfast.
So no matter which room, even if you buy the cheapest room and book it way in advance, all of the Hampton by Hilton, you get the free buffet breakfast included, and make the most of that if you're not using the lounge, or you're not expecting a lot of food on the plane, or you don't like plain food. There's a lot of options there, isn't there? Bacon, the usual full English breakfast.
Yeah.
So I think last time we went, I paid about £50 odd, and this time we paid about £70 something. So as long as you book far enough in advance, because we looked, because my parents are flying from Gatwick in a couple of weeks, or what would have been a couple of weeks' time, and the price had gone up something stupid like £200 odd. So make sure you book it in advance. But if you can get it for less than 100, it's definitely worth it, just for that peace of mind of waking up there. Obviously, Virgin do the twilight check-in, which we didn't do, and you see why, because I surprised George with upgrade, but
lovely.
Virgin do the late night check-in there, so you can just drop your bags off and sleep and wake up refreshed and have a massive breakfast.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the hotel at all. Like, it is what I think. What this time? So last time we went in 2017, which actually in 2 days it's 3 years to the day that we went. Tomorrow it'll be 3 years to the day that we went to the Hampton by Hilton. But I have a hair on my face and it's like horrendous. What is happening? So last time we went, I was working during the day, so we didn't get to go to the hotel until like I got back from work. We threw the cases in the car and we went. Like I had to be ready. Whereas this time, because I'm fun employed and you had the day off, so it meant that we sort of like got ourselves together. Like we were together the day before, and we kind of got all of our bits together. I could finish off any freelance stuff before we went, and we were there by like 3:00.
Yes.
And so we parked the car and then went to Gatwick. So we were there at like 3. So we had so much like chill time, which I don't know. You need that before a trip. I think like it's because I mean I can't
just to double check you've packed everything. You've got your passport. You've got your money. You've got all this, that, and the other.
Although it was I can't. We both said I think at the time we can't imagine going there
and not doing that
on the day.
No, certainly not for such a long and certainly not for a long haul trip. Yeah. Obviously, if you're going for a city break or whatever it may be, but when you're going away for so long, there's a risk that you've forgotten something or you've not done something, and you can sort all of that. They've got printers there, they've got computers you can use to do last minute bits.
And the thing is, like, if we had forgotten something that was at home that was essential, like the Gatwick Express is literally out the door. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, so it would have been money, but we could have got home and got what we needed. Yeah. The one thing, actually, oh my god, you can order Papa John's to that hotel, by the way. Which I think was
Other pizzas are available.
Other pizzas are available, but why would you get them? They're terrible. Papa John's is the best. You can order a Papa John's to that hotel.
As you saw,
which is a thing to note. Don't get as much as we got, because it meant we couldn't enjoy the breakfast, which would have been...
It was outrageous.
It was a delicious breakfast, and it was a shame we couldn't eat more of it. One thing was the electronic key.
Oh yeah, the digital key thing is a gimmick.
It was a gimmick, and it didn't really work.
It didn't
most
work.
Of the time.
No, we there was a few times we couldn't get into the lift, couldn't get out of the lift.
Oh my god, there was a time we couldn't get into the room. After breakfast, we couldn't get into the room. You had to go downstairs and
just do it the old-fashioned way and get a key card.
Yeah. But overall, a good experience.
Yeah. I mean, we'd go back there if we were at Gatwick North again, time and time again, because it served as well both
Although
times.
Adam and Gary stayed at Gatwick South, I think, even though they were flying from Gatwick North. Yeah. And that hotel looked really nice.
Yes.
And it was still a Hampton by Hilton, I think.
No, it was the Hilton.
Was it? Oh, okay. So fancier.
Arguable.
Okay.
You don't get free breakfast.
Oh, then we're staying in the North one. Like,
I suppose it depends, but there's so many options. There's the Travelodge that we walked past when we got lost before. There's the Premier Inn. There's the Block Hotel, which we saw someone stay at before. Yeah.
But I think the Hampton by Hilton at Gatwick North it's cheap and cheerful. Yeah. It comes with a breakfast, and I think when your flight doesn't go till 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock?
1 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 p.m. If you're anything like us and you are excitedly awake because George forgot to turn off his work alarm, do you remember that? Not forgiving me for that. Then you need that food really before you get on the plane.
And somewhere just to chill out. Yeah. And check out there was about 12 p.m, wasn't it? Yeah. So it coincided nicely, even though we had the lounge anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, on to the next thing. So, thoughts on Premium with Virgin Atlantic.
I'll let you answer that one, seeing as it was your surprise.
So Jordan, if you've watched it, I hope, but if you haven't, Jordan surprised me with an upgrade to Premium on our flight.
Anyway, there is one surprise for you.
What?
That I hope you don't know about.
No, what?
This is our boarding ticket.
Oh my god, what have you done? God, so we're flying Premium.
And we're sitting together.
Oh! Originally on the flight, we weren't even sat together, but we were sat at like the front of a row.
Yes, we were across the aisle from each other.
Which I was like equal parts fine with and completely not fine with. Like,
but the reason I chose those seats were for the extra leg room. It was on the exit. It was upstairs in the bubble, and it was the exit row, so double win. But it did mean that we were across the aisle.
Yeah, so originally we were there, and Jordan surprised me with an upgrade to premium, which I was really pleased about because it meant that we got to sit together. And then it was kind of getting on the plane that was suddenly like a whole other thing. Like we got to be right at the front of the we got on before everyone else pretty much. We were sat right at the very front. We had a lot of leg room, and there wasn't a single moment during that flight when we were not being attended to. Like, you barely finished a drink before you were offered another one. You were always asked if you were okay, if you needed, like, the little leg rest thing or anything like that. The screens coming out of the seat, like, that was totally fine. Like, there was that bit of me, I think, that was a bit worried that, obviously, that would have been on the seats we would have had we not upgraded. Yes. But I wondered whether it would be, like, a weird, like, distortion, like, sitting like that rather than watching like that. But it was fine. Like,
it was fine. And the screens in premium are much bigger as well, which I noticed.
Did you notice it on the way home?
Yeah, and not obviously that they have a handheld remote thing, which the economy ones didn't have. So if you play Bejeweled a lot, like I did, you just cannot play it on economy because you're bashing on the back of someone's seat. Whereas with the remote thing, it was much better.
And it also meant that you had the plane on the screen and Bejeweled on the thing. Yeah,
so you could have the little flight map on the little remote and then watch something on the big screen.
Yeah, so which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I loved it. Like apart from takeoff and landing, which I hate because I'm not a good flyer. It was quite a distraction to kind of have like the drinks that you've got, and then to kind of have the extra space, and like it meant that during the flight I watched a couple of films, I read my book for a bit, I like played a game on my phone. Like I was just really like chill, and because it was a 2-seat rather than a 3. I could get up and I could like roam about the little cabin thing, and it was good.
And the food was so good.
The food was so nice.
We spoke about food so much, but
it was like, I think it was, everyone knows at this point, it was a foodie holiday because we like took full advantage of the dining plan. But the food on the plane, I've never had plane food that was like that good before.
I think that's sort of what makes the experience, isn't it? The sort of afternoon tea that we had, the tea in real mugs. Just small things like that, and like George said, the attentiveness of the staff in comparison was unbelievable. Like we went for some considerable time on a return journey without being attended to, which is not a fault because they've got hundreds of economy passengers to deal with.
And actually, when we were attended to, like
the staff,
they were so lovely. Like when we got off, actually, on the way there, so when we were in premium. One of the flight attendants said, "Gosh, you two have been smiling for the entire flight," and we were like, "Well, it's our first time like flying premium," and it was really fun. I enjoyed the 2 seats. I think that was such a huge bonus. I had a really nice time, and you really notice it on the way back when you don't have it. But I don't think I'd want it on the way back.
It's not worth paying for on the way back
because you spend most of it asleep. So
and you're already miserable about coming back anyway.
Exactly. So, like no amount of free orange juice is going to help that.
No. So I don't, because obviously I don't know if I explained to you how I got there.
No.
But it was a sort of bid thing, and people who are booked with Virgin will know about this. You can put a bid in for how much you're willing to pay for the seats. And I was actually so I put. Did I tell you about how it almost went wrong?
No.
Well, this is a funny story which I told my parents, but not you. But it was almost like hell on earth.
Oh, cool.
So I put this bid in about 2 weeks before. About 2 weeks before we were due to go, and I put the lowest possible bid in, never thinking in a million years that would get approved and that somebody would have bid a bit more, and then that would be that. So one day I was at work. And I got that email which I forwarded to you, which is like, select your menu options now.
Oh yeah, so like you sent me the select your menu options thing, and we'd even watched Gary C and Adam Hatton fly premium, and I didn't clock it at all.
Well, here's the thing, neither did I. So they sent me this email saying, pick your food options, and I was like, I don't remember doing this last time. So I went onto the Virgin app, and the seat numbers had disappeared. So the seats which we booked about 300 days before had suddenly disappeared, and I'm thinking, what's gone on? And then I see that it says premium for both of us, but no seat number. So I go on to the choose my seat thing, and there's no seats together. So there's one seat, 2 rows in front of the other seat.
Oh my god, that would have been
and they're
worse.
the only two. They're the only two. So I'm thinking, oh my god, this has all gone wrong. Like, you'd already got the hump about sitting across from the aisle.
I don't know, the hump, I was just sad. And you know what? Like, when we actually... Because I'm such a bad flyer, like, you know that. Like, I was in such a state when we were taking off. And it was when we were taking off that I thought, if you'd have been across the aisle, I would have been completely fucked.
Well, imagine then, I'm looking at this app and you're 2 rows in front, or vice versa.
You're not even next to me anymore.
So I'm having a full-on breakdown at work, thinking, we're going in like a week and this is absolute rubbish. So I call I'm like on the phone to Virgin whilst at work saying, look, I bidded for this thing. Obviously I didn't read all the terms and conditions, because who does? But in the terms and conditions, it's like, if you've bidded for it and you win, you've got to have it, and you've got to have the seats that we've got left, whether you like it or not. So I'm like X amount of hundreds of pounds down, and annoyed that we're sat miles apart from each other. So I called this guy, and he was good as gold, and he was like, look, we can't refund you, but I'll see what I can do. And he disappears for a while, and I don't know what happens, but I assume he manages to convince somebody to move. Because the seats that we ended up in were actually like the lowest rated of the premium seats, because obviously they're by the toilet. They were fine for us. Yeah. But I suppose if you've paid like full price, you might want to switch it for a different one.
Okay.
So he must have convinced these 2 people, or one person, to move, and got us those 2 together. And oh my god, it was like the biggest relief, because I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to explain that to you, that we're now like miles apart from each other in premium, having a nice time, but like miserable that we can't even see each other?
I think that would have been... Because I think what was good, because we were in premium, sat next to each other, the filming stuff was really easy. Like, we got to film... I mean, you would have seen, like, we filmed a lot on the plane.
Yeah. But also, they were downstairs, which was another kick in the teeth, and both in the middle of a 3. So we both have one person either side of us, and I'd be, like, waving at you 2 rows in front.
I would have hated that.
So I had a full-on breakdown, and what I would say is, if you're going to bid on it, which is worth doing, because I think we got the upgrade, or I got the upgrade for about half the price.
Oh, wow.
There's that risk there. So perhaps if you're a single traveller, absolutely. If there's 2 of you, there's a risk that you will not be sat together. And it doesn't make that clear initially. Would I do it again? No.
No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't risk the bid. I'd think about paying some other way to guarantee the seats together.
I think... How much is an upgrade to premium?
One way is about, for 2 of us, almost £900. I don't think that I'd pay that.
It's hard because it was really nice.
It was, but is it £900 nice? The way I think of it is the amount that I paid is both Very Merry and both Keys to the Kingdom.
That's true.
So you could have those 2 experiences for 2 people for that same amount of money.
That's true.
Anyway, we had a good time.
Something to think about. Yeah, I really enjoyed premium. Like, I would recommend it. It's expensive. As someone who is a worrisome flyer, although actually I don't remember what it was like first time round that much. But on the way back, it was sort of a reminder that you're sort of a bit more cramped, and that the person in front of you is determined to put that seat back, and you're not having any of it. Yeah.
Or the person behind me is determined to play Bejeweled in the back of my head. Yeah.
Well, so I had the guy in front of me on the way back who was like, he was trying to put his seat back, but he couldn't put his seat back because my legs are too long. So my knees were just there. Like, he was like pushing on it, and it was like, you can't go any further because I have knees. I'm sorry for my knees. So next up, we're going to talk about where we stayed while we were in Florida.
Disney specifically.
Oh, because we did stay at 2 different hotels. And that was the Animal Kingdom Lodge, which...
Disney's
Animal Kingdom Lodge, which wasn't the original plan.
No.
Now,
did we tell this
We've
story?
not told this story because we said in our first ever trip situation that it was a story for another day.
Well, I think we'll give the whittled down version.
We'll shorthand it.
So, long story short, George and I went to Blue Water in Kent to book this holiday.
because it was the bank holiday
It was
weekend.
bank holiday.
It had a sale on.
Sale.
And yeah, it was a sale. And we were both sad about it and wanted to go on holiday again.
Yeah. Because that's exactly what we'd done. We'd gone down to Blue Water, to Virgin Holidays in Blue Water, even though it's like 60 miles away.
But that was the closest Virgin Holidays at the time.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
So I drove there and we went there and did the same that we did last time.
Yeah, because last time it was almost a snacksident that we booked it. Like we went in with the intention of like looking up prices and like seeing what they could do, and then ended up booking the holiday.
But she sucked us in.
She really did, but that's because she did get it for us lower than we could have got it if we'd booked it online.
So top tip there. I mean, not to teach you to suck eggs, but get a quote online and try and play them off against their own website.
Which
and
we
it
did
again, work. In fact, both times
twice.
It worked. So definitely do that. Don't just, if you live near a Virgin Holiday store and you're thinking of booking with Virgin Holidays online. Or anyone else online, actually, take that quote in and see what they can do. She put a few discounts on there and it was good. So we managed to get a decent price for Port Orleans Riverside, which we were super excited about because that's the one that we'd always sort of...
We'd watched like practically every resort tour on YouTube that existed, because Tim Tracker did like a lot of them. And we watched a lot to come to the decision that Port Orleans Riverside
was the one.
Like the fanciest of the moderates at the time, and it was where we wanted to be.
Yeah, and obviously the free dining, we'd be happy with the quick service, or so we thought. And it was a good price, and so we just booked it there and then. And as time went by, it was getting closer and closer, and then on the run-up to Galaxy's Edge opening, there was a few different operators which were having problems fulfilling only the Port Orleans Riverside rooms for some reason, and a few at the French Quarter, but eventually I got an email from Virgin saying basically your room it doesn't exist. Yeah,
you saw it coming up on forums, like it was kind of getting closer and closer to like people were putting on forums like that they were having their rooms cancelled, and it was getting closer and closer to our date.
So whether it was alphabetical by surname perhaps or something, but there was pages and pages and pages on the DIS forum, or the DIB forum, about people that had their Port Orleans cancelled. It's a forum, the DIB. And sure enough, we were one of them. And again, whilst I was at work, actually, this happened. And I mean, I'm not going to badmouth Virgin now, but it was basically either you swap to the Caribbean beach or we cancel the whole holiday. And at the time, Caribbean Beach was undergoing its massive refurbishment. This was before the Riviera was built, before the Skyliner was finished.
This is when we didn't know when those things were going to be done. Like, I think they were done when we were there anyway, but like we didn't know at the time.
No,
because everything when it said to book it was like
this is on throughout 2019, and we were like, well, knowing Disney, it'll go on until 2020 and whatever. Not only that, but when we booked Port Orleans, Caribbean Beach was like £300-400 cheaper. And they were not offering any sort of recompense for that difference, so obviously we weren't going to take that. We didn't even like the look of Caribbean Beach at the time.
Now it's a different story.
Different now. It's had its much needed upgrade. So that was pretty sad, and I said, look, I don't really want to cancel this. We've already, what was it, about already 4 or 5 months had passed, I think.
Like we'd been saving, like we'd done a lot of the, because I know that I like, because I obviously it happened before I got into Mount View, so like it was we'd done a lot of like the saving part already, so we were practically almost there, or knew how we were going to get
and obviously there. Anyone that's booked a Disney holiday knows that you get excited about it and you just want it to happen. So we were gutted about that, and also they'd left it so late that we couldn't book Port Orleans with anyone else, like ATD or even with Disney Direct was starting to sell out because of Galaxy's Edge. So we were gutted about that, but long story short, even though it's been a long story,
it's a long story though. You can't short out.
There was numerous phone calls between me and Virgin whereby I sort of haggled an upgrade to Animal Kingdom Lodge at no discount, may I add. So we basically got the room and the dining plan for exactly the same amount of money that we would have paid had we taken it out in the first place, which it is what it is. Perhaps it would have been good customer service to handle things differently, but in the end, we were
Yeah.
happy with it.
And you did work it out. Like I think you worked it out at the time that the price, like at the time you worked it out when they were offering it to you, and it was the cheapest we will ever get to stay at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, booking through Virgin.
Yeah,
or even
basically
Disney.
because of they did keep the August bank holiday discount and our frequent flyer discount and so on.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it was a decent price for what we got.
But still, an annoying situation that was not well handled.
No, and we're not here to badmouth a certain company, but
You know who they are.
but obviously there was a couple of weeks of uncertainty and not a lot of give and a lot of empathy perhaps on something that we'd already spent 6-7 months getting excited about. So
and the fact is, like, it was like the holiday was fantastic, and everything that they did from that point on was incredible. It's just a shame that like it started on such like a sour point.
Yeah, and obviously it does make you question whether you'd want to risk that again. If they oversold in that year, will they oversell again? Yeah. And will we not be so lucky to get Animal Kingdom or a different hotel next time? Anyway, what did you think of Animal Kingdom Lodge? When we finally got there,
Animal Kingdom Lodge is one of those hotels that is an absolute dreamboat of a hotel. Like, even before we were going to stay on Disney property for this trip, I knew that I wanted to stay there at some point in my life. I didn't think it'd happen until we were like in our 50s, because it's like, she's a pricey
super
girl.
Fancy, yeah.
But like the second you walk in, I feel myself getting emotional. But the second you walk in, you are there. Like, and the entire foyer, atrium, whatever you want to call it, is just breathtaking. Like, and when you've just been on like, when you've been up since like 6:30 and it's a 9-hour flight and you've been like so excited all day, you get there and you see all that and it's just like, wow, that is just unreal. And that's just the atrium. I've not even got to the rest of it yet.
It's funny because I was thinking, well, I think it starts before you even get there. Like the music as you're coming in, the smell as you're coming in, the sort of I don't know what you call it outside, the veranda thing outside. Animal Kingdom Lodge was the one that I always wanted to stay at. Like, that was the dream hotel, and I still do this actually. And as a kid, I always thought, if I can go to any when I'm older, that would be the one. But like you, I never thought that we'd be able to afford it or ever do it, but that was the one that I always wanted to, because it looked so stunning.
And I think the fact that obviously it wasn't meant to happen this time, but because it was so far in advance, it meant that we had the time to afford it.
Yeah, I just can't believe that it happened, and I think it 100% lived up to expectation as well,
and more. Unreal. And
isn't it humongous?
It's massive.
I just remember getting in there and just looking up and seeing it's the scale huge. Of the thing.
And so we walked in, blown away. Jason at the front desk, we've written this down.
Jason I remember because I always used to get called Jason as a kid. And still do.
He was so lovely. He was really, really friendly, and because obviously I've been awake for 20 hours at this point. They say welcome home when George and I was crying. Just in bed, I was holding it together, but just barely. I was welling up when he was saying welcome home, and it was like, he was so lovely. He wished us a happy anniversary. He gave, because we were there for our anniversary. Our anniversary was on the 21st, and he gave us these little happily ever after pins, which hilariously we put on Instagram stories, I think. And your mum and sister thought we'd eloped. And gotten married without telling anyone, which was kind of funny. It was from the get-go, it was a great experience. The room we had, you wangled us a partial Savannah room. I mean, we ended up with a partial Savannah room, which is the same. It's just a standard room, but we were very fortunate, I think, to get the view that we did. We saw lots of animals.
Yes. I don't think we spent, and I said this to you, I don't think we utilised the hotel as best that we could.
No.
Which is probably to be expected. You're there to have a good time and do the parks and do that and do the shopping. But We were very lucky to get the room that we did, and I think if we were to go again, we'd have to put aside some time to sort of actually take in the hotel.
Yeah, because it's so giant, and all we really saw of it was our room, the pool, hot tub, little bit outside, and the restaurants. That's kind of all we
but even the pool we saw once, and the hot tub we saw once.
Like, we didn't explore it in such a big way,
No.
and we kind of should have. Really.
We should have, but I don't regret what we did there. It was,
not at all.
You know, it is a beautiful hotel,
Yeah.
and we were treated really, really well. And the food, obviously, we'll come on to the food, but
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. It was a wonderful hotel to stay in, and like, it was, oh my god, it was an absolute dream, like, to stay somewhere like that.
Yeah.
It was so, my like key word of the holiday, it was so immersive. It was just like, you're in it, and it's just so wonderful, and it's a little bit of Disney magic where you're actually staying, which is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
Like, to have
well,
that
it
in
just
your
transports
hotel.
you to Africa,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Like the guys playing the bongos or carving the wood.
Oh yeah, he
or,
was there like every night.
Yeah, all that sort of thing, and obviously the shop, the smells, the fire pits and things like that.
Oh my god! And then when they decked it out for Christmas, like when we came back one night and they were like they'd like cordoned off like the middle of the thing, and we didn't know why. And then we woke up the next morning and there's this like giant Christmas tree and all these Christmas decorations
they
everywhere.
just appeared from nowhere.
Just appeared overnight. Like, it was so cool.
And we were not far from the lobby, and you couldn't hear a thing.
No, you had no idea what was happening at all. It was
Impressive.
great.
Impressive.
The whole thing was really great.
Yeah. The only downside, if you're that way inclined, is that it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, actually, it is a bit in the sticks compared to some of the other hotels.
Obviously, if you've got access to a car, at best we were 12 minutes drive from, say, Typhoon Lagoon, which was pretty far. But we have heard that if you rely on the buses, they're not great from Animal Kingdom Lodge, because it's obviously you're next door to Animal Kingdom, but everything else is quite far away, because it's the furthest south on the property, pretty much.
Oh my god, rolling out of bed to get to Animal Kingdom was great though.
Yeah, but everything else, because the roads around the Disney property are so good.
Yeah.
When we stayed off property on the 192 last time, you've got the hassle then of getting off property and being in the rush hour traffic or whatever. Whereas I don't think at any point whilst we were driving around Disney back to our Disney hotel did we have any issues.
It was great.
Obviously, if you go off to Universal or any other parks, then you've got to get back to the Disney property, but once you're on there, it was so easy to get around.
And also, like, the absolute difference between the roads that are not on Disney property. Like, everything is bright neon, light pollution, realness, and you get onto Disney property and it's like you're in a completely different place. Yeah, it was great. There was something I was going to say with regards to that. Oh yeah, one thing that I would like from the Animal Kingdom Lodge, and this isn't a criticism at all, this is just something that I think would be really freaking cool. And this is something because of, and you'll see, we'll talk about this in the next video, the hotel we stayed at for Universal.
Yes.
I want a walkway from Animal Kingdom Lodge to the Animal Kingdom.
Oh.
And we looked on a map, she's possible. I think that would be really cool, because I also wanted that from, like, what's the Grand Floridian.
Which is happening.
Yeah. Because the cool thing about the Contemporary Resort, the cool thing about Royal Pacific at Universal, loads of Royal Pacific.
Well, all three of the Universal hotels, actually.
Like, I loved walking to the park in the morning.
Yes.
I thought that was, like, we didn't do that from the Contemporary, but when we walked from Magic Kingdom to the Contemporary for the fireworks and back again, it's just really nice to kind of feel that, like...
Yeah.
I think it would just be. I think it's a very nice touch. That's all.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some logistics about why it hasn't happened.
I think it's because we worked out that you'd be going into the back of Pandora if you did it that way.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of swampland because Florida.
So I think swampland is probably the issue. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. And obviously we stayed in one of the renovated rooms as well, which we didn't have a fault with, other than there was no plug sockets by the beds.
Oh yeah,
on
that
either
was just
side.
Weird.
So the nearest, in fact, there was only one accessible plug socket, wasn't there, by the desk?
Yeah. Which, thank goodness, we brought a
we
your
bought a
USB
multi-thing.
data. Otherwise, we would have not been charging things.
But obviously on the renovated rooms, which they're slowly doing, there's USBs and everything by the bed. So all the more reason to go back, I think.
Yes, absolutely. So halfway through this video, we decided we were going to do this in 2 to 3 parts because we like to talk, it turns out. That is the end of this video. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to put a thumb on it and subscribe down below. If you don't want to miss the next one, please leave your comments below if you've stayed at any of these places that we've mentioned, or if you have anything that you would recommend
for next
or
time.
like us to talk about. Feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we will speak to you in the next one. Say bye with me for old time's sake. 1, 2, 3. Bye.